Welcome back to my YouTube channel Unfog with Dr. Athar Parveen. What if I tell you that one single question can help you to become master in an entire concept? In this video, we will be solving previous year questions based on GPSTR, which will surely be helpful for HSTR, TET and CRISE as well. But the main purpose of making this video is to tell you a very nice way of preparing smartly. You can crack the logic behind the topic just by solving one question. See, actually, rote learning will not help you in competitive exams. Either it be HSTR, GPSTR or TET. You will have to do smart preparation. Your smart preparation will only save your time also, and it will also make your preparation interesting. So to know that, you should stay with me in this video till the end, because by solving just one question, we will tell you how to learn other topics. You can take one chapter and you can understand things, it will take long time, right? Instead of that, you can take one previous year question and you can go deeply into that full chapter, which will be the easiest way even to revise quickly. So that's why in this video I am going to teach you how to apply this smart preparation method. The way I am going to teach you in this session, you can apply this method to prepare for any subject. It can be physics, chemistry or maths also. And when you should be using this method, see, if you are getting bored with your regular preparation, then you can use this method. Or you can make a routine of using this method of preparation during every weekends. Or even at the time of revision, just before the exam also, this type of smart preparation method will be very useful. Okay. So in this video, I have selected 1 mark questions from Biology GPSTR 2017 question paper. Eventually, we can discuss questions from 2019 question paper also and other previous year question papers also. Okay. So, let me start with this question from 2017. The question is, movement of oxygen into the cell and carbon dioxide to outside the cell occurs by the process of, and the options they are giving are osmosis, transpiration, diffusion and guttation. So this is the question, right? So what all are the topics you can learn from this question? First though, you can understand all the 4 options. You should be knowing what is osmosis, what is transpiration, what is diffusion and what is guttation, right? After that, if you find anything new related to this topics, nearby concepts, you have to prepare for that also. Okay. See, for example, I will solve this question for you. Osmosis, first option. It is the movement of water across a semi-permeable membrane. Now, this osmosis happens from a region of low solute concentration to high solute concentration. What is the best example of osmosis? It is a soaked grapes which get swelled up as water moves into them through their skin. Here the skin of the grapes act as a semi-permeable membrane. Okay, this was about osmosis. Then you should learn about the second option. What is it? Transpiration. It is actually the process where water vapor is lost from stomata. What is this stomata? They are tiny pores of leaves. And this transpiration happens mainly during daytime. If you have seen droplets forming on the surface of the leaf, that means this is transpiration. Okay. Coming to next option, which is diffusion. Diffusion is the movement of molecules. They can be gases also. And these movement of molecules happens from high concentration to low concentration. And this diffusion does not require a membrane like osmosis does, right? And in diffusion, both solutes and solvents can move from high concentration area to low concentration area. Then what about guttation? It is the process of secretion of water droplets from the pores of some vascular plants like grass. Now this does not happen through stomata. Guttation happens through hydatodes. Here you can see in the picture that the water droplets are present at the edge of the leaf, not upon the leaf, on the surface of the leaf. It is on the edge of the leaf, and this is happening because of the pores of some vascular plants, especially the best example is grass. Okay. Now after knowing all the four options, you can also reach to the correct answer here, right? In the question they are telling that the oxygen is moving into the cell and carbon dioxide is coming out of the cell. It means that oxygen should move into the cell when its concentration is higher outside, and carbon dioxide should move out when it is higher inside the cell, right? Now, as per all the definitions we saw for all the four options, the correct answer should be diffusion only, right? Because here only the movement of molecules is happening from a higher concentration to lower concentration, and both solute and solvents are moving, right? Now, after knowing all the four options and reaching to the final answer, you should also learn about the differences between diffusion and osmosis, because there were the two topics which were nearby, right? And later also know about the difference between guttation and transpiration also. Okay, like for example here, what are the main differences between diffusion and osmosis? Diffusion is the passive movement of particles, ions and molecules, and there is a concentration gradient here, and it does not require a semi-permeable membrane, as we told you earlier. And diffusion can occur in solids also, liquids also, and gases also, because we told that diffusion happens where both solute and solvent are moving, right? Whereas in osmosis, it is a, you can say, type of diffusion, but only solvent is diffusing here. Best example is water. Okay, now this water is diffusing across a semi-permeable membrane. That's why it occurs only in the liquid medium. Okay, and of course there is a need of a semi-permeable membrane for osmosis to happen. Okay, now knowing the differences between guttation and transpiration, guttation happens at night, and there is a loss of water from leaves in the form of liquid droplets, and guttation occurs through vein endings of the leaves. That's why you can see in the figure the water droplets are at the edge in the leaf, and guttation is a process which cannot be controlled. It is an uncontrolled process. Whereas transpiration, it is happening in daytime, and water is lost from leaves in the form of water vapor. That's why you can see water on the surface of the leaves, as it is occurring through the stomata, and it is a controlled process. This process can be controlled by the plant. Okay, clear, right? Now if you go back and understand, you had one question wherein there were four options. While preparing, you learnt the meaning of all the four options. With that, you gave the correct answer to that question, and also you solved the differences between similar type of terms which were asked in the question. So this way you prepared for TET also, you prepared for HSTR also, and you prepared for GPSTR also, because in GPSTR you have subjective type questions. They can ask the differences of any two terms for 2 marks or 3 marks. Okay, clear, right? If they are asking diagram, they can ask for 4 marks also. So this is one smart way of preparing for your exam. Without going for chapter wise, you can also prepare based on your previous year questions. Okay. Now let us see another example. See this question. Which of the following does not play a prime role in the formation of soil from rocks? Understand the question. They are giving four options, and they are telling that there is one option which does not play a prime role in the formation of soil from rocks. First, though, know more about the soil, because it is the key word in the question, right? So the surface layer of Earth's crust is called soil, and this soil is formed by a process called weathering. This breaks down rocks into smaller particles because of wind, water, climate, and maybe some other biological activities. And the main factors which are affecting the formation of soil are climate, topography, parent material, organic material, and time span. What is topography? It is the way the land forms are there. Parent material means the original rock from which the soil is forming. Organic material means the dead plants and animals which are also playing important role in formation of soil from the rocks. And time span. Actually, it takes very long time. This weathering takes long time. It can also take centuries for the formation of soil from rocks. Now go back to the option. Sun, wind, water, trees. Which should be the option which is not playing an important role in the formation of soil? It should be water, right? Sun, wind and trees are playing very important role. Water is playing role in formation of soil, but it is not playing a prime role. You have to understand that the question involves some keywords which will lead you to the correct answer. Okay, so this way you got an idea about so many things. If you are interested, you can go and understand what are the biological activities behind the formation of soil from rocks. You can also know a little bit more about topography also. You should also learn about organic material and how they are playing the role in formation of soil from rocks. Okay, you get my point, right? With this, you can also go for some more topics like carbon dating and all. Okay. So this is one way of a smarter preparation. This way you will not get bored also. This type of preparation becomes very interesting because you are always searching something, right? Some new things you are learning and you are noting down. Then you are also making points. Again you are going for next previous question. This becomes very interesting. Okay. See another important question from 2017 only. Blindness is associated with the efficiency of. Four options are there: vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin K. So this type of questions though will allow you to prepare for nearly half chapter, right? Here vitamin A is the correct answer. You will understand this if you know this type of a table. Just to go for this type of table wherein you have all the vitamin names and their chemical names and the diseases caused because of the deficiency of that particular vitamin, right? For example, you have vitamin B12. It is a cyanocobalamin. This is a very important vitamin which is absorbed by our intestines, and lack of this vitamin causes anemia because this is one of the important content in our blood. Along with the hemoglobin, we have ferritin, we have vitamin B12 and so on. So all these things are very important for our HB level to go up. Okay. Then we have vitamin C, which is ascorbic acid. Lack of this vitamin causes scurvy and swelling of gums. Like that only we have vitamin D. Its chemical name is calciferol, and it is a lack of calcium, you can say. Children get rickets if this vitamin D is not there. Okay. Like that only we have vitamin B5, B6, B7, vitamin E and vitamin K. You have to learn from this table. Okay. If you are interested, you can go for more tables like other things are there. What is lack of protein causing, or what is lack of magnesium, minerals. What type of diseases you are getting because of the deficiency of those minerals and so on. Okay. So you have lot of scope to prepare with this type of a question. Okay. See another question. Which of the food chain directly depends on solar radiation? Options are decomposer food chain, detritus food chain, grazing food chain and parasitic food chain. So these four options are actually types of food chain. Now you should know about all the types of food chain, right? First see what is grazing food chain. It is starting with the producers like plants. It depends directly upon sunlight. Here energy flows from sun to plants, and that will go to herbivores and that will go to carnivores. Then see for detritus food chain. It starts with the dead and decaying organic matter, and it is eaten by decomposers like fungi, earthworms, etc. And it is indirectly linked to solar energy through original producers. Then see for parasitic food chain. Parasitic food chain starts from herbivores, but it also includes parasites and hyperparasites, and here energy flows from large host to a small parasite. Then see for the last one, decomposer food chain. It starts from waste and dead materials or organisms, and here energy flows from organic waste to decomposers. Now go back to the question, which of the food chain directly depends on solar radiation, that is sunlight? If you see the details which we have just now discussed, the answer should be grazing food chain. You can also see the differences between grazing food chain and detritus food chain. What are the differences? You have to see, because in grazing food chain and in detritus food chain, you are getting solar energy in both things, right? But grazing food chain is directly depending upon sunlight, whereas detritus food chain is indirectly linked to solar energy through original producers. Okay. You can also go for basic information like what is the shape of the pyramid in a parasitic food chain. The shape of the pyramid in a parasitic food chain is actually inverted, because number of bacteria and fungi, they are very much more when you compare with producers and secondary consumers. That's the reason why the pyramid is inverted. You can see that the producers are less when you compare with the parasites or the bacteria and fungi and so on. Okay. You can also go for more basic ideas like what is a food chain and what is a food web. You can also know about the differences between food chain and food web. Food chain is actually a single path of energy flow. For example, you can see here plant, grasshopper, rat and eagle. Here plant is eaten by grasshopper, grasshopper is eaten by rat, and rat is eaten by eagle. Like that only you can see food web, it is more complicated thing as multiple interconnected chains are there here. It actually reflects the real complexity of the nature. You can see the example here. Eagle may eat rat also, rabbit also, or it can also eat small birds. Right. So here food web is the one where everything is connected. Whereas in food chain there is only one path of energy. You can also know more like major components of food chain. They are sun, producers, consumers and decomposers. Sun is a source of all energy. Producers means plants that use photosynthesis. Consumers means they are those animals and organisms, they are eating plants or they are eating producers. And decomposers means they are microorganisms like fungi and bacteria. They are breaking down dead matter into nutrients, right? For decomposers, you can take an example like a dead rat is decomposing and releasing foul smell. This is the work of decomposers actually. Okay, decomposing means actually that stuff is getting spoiled. That is only decomposing. Okay. On this note, I will show you another question. Which of the following is not an example of detritivore? Options are fungus, bacteria, earthworm and moss. See, first try to learn about the keyword detritivore, then go for understanding about fungus, bacteria, earthworm and moss. Then come back to the original question and give the correct answer. Okay. So here detritivores are organisms which feed upon dead and decaying organic matter. The decaying organic matter is oftenly called as detritus. Okay. Examples of these detritivores are earthworm, fungus and bacteria. Earthworm means it will ingest the dead matter. Fungus, it will break down organic material. You call it as a decomposer, but it is also like a detritivore only. Bacteria, it decomposes organic waste. Whereas moss, it is a plant. It is a photosynthetic plant and it does not involve in feeding on dead matter. So it is not a detritivore. If you go back and see the question, which of the following is not an example of detritivore? So the answer here will be moss. Okay, fungus, bacteria, earthworm, all are examples of detritivore. Okay. You can know more about detritivores like they are the organisms which derive their nutrition from the organic waste of the dead plants and decaying animals and plants. And these detritivores occupy the topmost position in the food chain. You can also understand the difference between detritivores and decomposers. See, decomposers contain detritivores also, but detritivores do not contain all the decomposers. Okay, detritivores is a class of decomposers, you can say, because they are eating the organic dead plants and animals and they are taking nutrition from that. Okay, so you can put detritivores group as butterflies, beetles, whereas decomposers, they are divided into three categories: detritivores, scavengers, and saprophytes. All these decomposers eat dead plants and animals, and they actually spoil them, they degrade them. Now, best example when we talk about decomposers means we give example as bacteria and fungus only. Okay. So in this way you can prepare right from 1 mark to 4 mark questions, either it be for HSTR, TET or GPSTR or CRISE. Okay, just from one single question you are exploring the entire concept. Okay, so this is one way of preparing in a better manner. On this note, I will stop the class here. We shall continue in the next class with more previous year questions from biology only. Okay, for that what you have to do, you should like this video, you can share it among all your friends, and also subscribe to our channel. If we get good response of this video, then only we will continue with next video. Okay, thank you, all the best, bye.